Okay, welcome to the annual Illegal Pancakes podcast that we do occasionally.
Yep.
Today we are excited to talk about a number of different subjects, and we're going to start out by talking about not Castlevania for once.
Yeah. Almost Castlevania. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, as it's called. Right, so as some of you probably know, that's coming out later this month on June 18th. On Steam, on Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PS4, I believe. And, well, I don't know what we really want to say about it. It's pretty much straightforward what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Metroidvania with crafting. It's 2.5D instead of the regular 2D.
So, refresh me if I'm wrong here, but the Bloodstained series, isn't it created by one of the guys who made some of the older Castlevania games?
Yeah, kind of. Koji Igarashi. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He was a producer for a lot of the Metroidvania games, starting with Symphony of the Night. I think that was his first one, and then moving forward, pretty much anything that was in that style. So yeah, I don't know if he did any of the 3D games or not.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what he's known for. He's a producer, not really a game designer as much.
All right.
Yeah.
But kind of the idea of the Bloodstained games is that because Konami, being Konami, they're not really making any Castlevania games anymore, Bloodstained is kind of trying to take up the mantle of making those games. So they're not officially Castlevania games, but it's what Castlevania fans want. Isn't that kind of the idea of the franchise?
Yeah, pretty much. So besides Igarashi, they also pulled one of the character artists and the composer from most of the Castlevania games, actually probably starting with Symphony, I think. I forget the name of the artist. But the composer, Mishiro Yamane, she's done a lot of... She actually started with a different game. It wasn't Symphony of the Night. Bloodlines. It came out on Genesis.
Okay.
She broke away from Konami earlier than Igarashi did, I think. She does freelance stuff now. She did some of the music for Skullgirls. That's really the only other game that comes to mind.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because those are all games that have really good soundtracks.
Yeah.
So how excited are you for the game?
Decently excited. I kind of forgot about it for a bit.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people did just because of how long it's been in development. And I forget when it was first supposed to come out, but I remember seeing the Kickstarter for it when I was a freshman in college, so 4 years back. I was upset I wasn't able to pledge any money towards it because they were giving out free copies if you gave $60 or so.
Oh, jeez.
Pretty much for the console of choice. I think they were thinking about doing physical copies. I don't know if they're still planning on doing that or not. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of weird indie games that are getting physical copies. I think it's really funny because you can go on Kickstarter and see all of these indie games that were partway in development, but the creators have pretty much just given up, and the comments underneath are hey, what the heck, man? I gave you $60. Where's my money back?
Guess with this one, it's not as much an indie game since most of the people that are working on it have worked in the industry before. They just decide to get away from the AAA portion of it.
So this one here, I mean, these are real game developers, and a big part of the new one that's coming out is that the graphics are going to be improved because everyone kept complaining about it. So let's hope that good graphics make a game more fun.
I actually kind of wish they would have came out with a gameplay beta for it or something. That might have been another Kickstarter goal or whatnot. Whatever you call it.
But on the topic of indie games, there's another indie game we want to talk about, which is also in vein of Metroidvania. Blasphemous.
Yep. Had a gameplay trailer drop this past week. And maybe that was just the main trailer. I forget which one I watched. It was only 2 minutes.
I think the main trailer's been out for a while, but they have released more stuff recently.
Okay.
Do you know when the release date on that game is?
No. I can actually look that up real quick.
Yeah. Because I forget if they had a release date at the end of the trailer, or if it was just like, see more at E3 or something.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, it doesn't look like they have a release date in mind yet, at least according to Steam.
Yeah. So we'll assume that there is no release date yet. We'll wait for more information at E3, assuming E3 is still a thing.
If they even say anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's funny how you look and like it costs so much money to go to E3, but I feel like it just wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah. I mean, it's mostly for game journalists.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really meant for people off the street to come in and watch. They'd probably be bored half to death.
Probably.
Yeah. So, is there anything you want to say about Blasphemous?
I just think that the sprite work in this game is really impressive. I'm a little concerned with the gameplay because from the gameplay they've revealed, it's mostly just like you walking in a straight line fighting enemies. Yeah. But that could just be because they only released like gameplay from the beginning of the game. Mm-hmm. I just think that it has like a really interesting artwork and it looks pretty metal.
Yeah. So yeah, like one of the things I like about it, it's giving me a lot of Quake vibes for some reason.
Yeah, I kind of got those vibes too. It's like got like a lot of Quake vibes.
Yeah. But like as far as my concerns with it, the animation, I mean, it's a indie game, so I'm not gonna hark on them too much for this. It looks a little choppy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. I think they're doing a good job for the most part. And then gameplay wise, it seems to be a little bit more like Metroid than it is Vania.
Yeah.
You got a guy that only has like one weapon, and I guess instead of acquiring other weapons, you just acquire different skills, like different combos or whatnot to do with it. Mm-hmm. I mean, going back to Bloodstained, it looks like you get to use different weapons, like axes and swords and whips and magic and crap like that.
Also, a big thing that was in like the first trailers was that you're going to be able to do like these Mortal Kombat style finisher moves on people.
Yeah.
And in the gameplay, I don't think they did any of that. Like when he's fighting the guys with the wheels, like I was expecting him to like do something with the wheel and take him down, but so that's a little concerning to me.
Those appeared in the announcement trailer I watched, the one that came out last week on, I think it was PlayStation's YouTube channel. Yeah, like 5 days ago. Yeah, that showcased a couple execution moves, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
So like they have them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I was saying that the animation looks kind of jerky.
Mm-hmm.
That's like in those. I mean, I guess they might still be slightly unfinished, but yeah.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. So we'll definitely have more on Bloodstained and Blasphemous when they come out. I don't know how soon I'll be getting Bloodstained after it's released.
Mm-hmm.
Little light on cash at the moment, but I don't know. Steam
we'll see
sales.
What happens.
Yeah, Steam sales. Well, it might not be on the Steam summer sale this year, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
So speaking of Steam, you said that you want to talk a little bit about the new Blood release that you got.
Yep. Blood Fresh Supply. Yep. It was I guess remaster's the right word. Don't know if it's quite a source port or what.
So there's already been like a couple like fan re-releases of Blood.
Yeah.
Have you like messed around with any of those before?
Yep, I played Z-Blood, but I know that's not anywhere near an accurate recreation of Blood because it was made using Z-Doom instead of the build engine.
Really?
Yep. So like the big thing about Blood was that its source code was never released, so that there wasn't actually a way for anyone to make a free source port of it. It's like people had to rely on the original DOS version or run it through DOSBox or like try their damnedest to actually recreate it some other way.
Yeah, I think I played a Doom mod that was like, I don't know if it was an exact replication of it, but it was still like a Blood style mod.
Oh, okay. That might have been Z-Blood.
It was before Z-Blood.
It was? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So with Blood Fresh Supply, it's not quite an accurate remake of it or remaster because I think it runs on a different engine. I saw it. I'm watching the trailer right now. That's on Steam. But from what I can tell so far, I've only played like maybe a half hour of it. The first couple levels, it looks pretty good. It's just a real pain in the butt at the moment to get running. It's like a lot of people were complaining about it day one of like crashes, bugs, random crap like that. It's like the big thing that I ran into was anytime I would change a display setting, like I would apply it and then the game would crash. And like I don't know why they decided to do this, but like the default settings are like at 48 hertz for no reason. They cap it at 30 frames per second. So you change it to 60, you hit, apply it. It's like, oh crap, the game crashed. So you go back in, and it's like, oh, why is it only running at 48? Well, it's a 1080p, but 48 hertz. So then you change it to 1080p, 60 hertz, apply, crashes, and then you go back in. It's like, oh, it's still kind of stuttery. Turn VSync off. And then, it's just a really painful cycle. I think right now I'm running it on 720p, 60 hertz. It doesn't look too bad. I'm thinking about trying to put VSync back on just so it smooths out a bit.
The thing is, like, I can understand when, a newer game comes out and it's got a lot of bugs and stuff like that, but this is a game from, like, the 90s.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I was saying, they had to move it to a new engine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where a lot of their problems are probably coming from. I think it's good. Well,
yeah.
A good start.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of prefer it to the DOSBox version at the moment. Because I think to change settings, I had to do like a notepad edit or whatnot.
Oh, wow.
That was kind of annoying. Yeah. I forget all that. That was like a year ago when I first got it. It was really cheap. Like it goes for like $5. Like fresh supply is only 10, like with no discount or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I definitely recommend getting that.
Just wait for the Steam Summer Sale.
Yeah.
Do you know when that's going to happen? That's going to be happening pretty soon, I imagine. Better get my wallet ready.
To the end of this month. That's usually when it is. I'm still on Steam right now, so the DOS version of Blood is only $5. Like no discount or anything. I actually got fresh supply for that much because if you had owned the original version of Blood, they gave you a 50% off coupon. That was good until like tomorrow, but I kind of waited until a week or so ago to actually finally buy it. Yeah. I mean, like at that price, it's like, might as well just try it.
Yeah. So now do you want to talk about the new Rambo movie?
Yes. Yep, I do.
So I've never really been too familiar with the Rambo franchise.
Okay.
I think I've seen like a small bit of one of the newish ones, like on like cable a few years ago. But
okay.
So I'm not super familiar with the franchise. How familiar are you with the franchise?
Very much so.
Okay.
Okay, so the basic gist of it, Rambo is a Vietnam veteran. He comes back to the United States, after the war. Doesn't really have a good time. That kind of forms the basis for first movie. He has a lot of problems with like post-traumatic stress, not being able to reintegrate himself back into society. And he reaches his breaking point while walking through a small town in Washington. He gets hustled by the sheriff there, and he just goes apeshit. Yeah. Now, it is based on a book, and the funny thing is, in the book, he murders pretty much everybody he comes across, but in the movie, like only one person actually dies, and it's an accident.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep.
So when did like Rambo become like this guy running through the jungle, like mowing down armies? Was that like in the sequels? Or?
That was with the sequels, yeah. So the second movie, like he's in prison, his old colonel comes to him and he's like, hey, we got this mission for you. And he finds out there's a bunch of POWs being held in Vietnam, like going along with this theory that the Vietnamese held back POWs because the U.S. government didn't pay war reparations. It's like he's going there to confirm that they're actually there, even though they don't think that they actually are there. Goes to this camp, finds POWs, and then like Vietnamese are there. He like tries to rescue one of the guys, and then the government shuts it down, like the guy in charge. And then he gets captured. Then turns out the Russians are also there.
Of course, because...
And then, then he escapes with the help of a indigenous agent that was also helping him find the camp. And then fights the Russians, Vietnamese. Goes back, he, at one point he, like, gets a helicopter from them, goes back to the camp and completely, like, wipes out the entire thing. Rescues everybody, A very quintessential 80s movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first movie was going for more of a, I guess, thriller feel than an action movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the sequels are more along the lines of just straight-up action movies.
Yeah.
Yep. So the third one pretty much followed the same suit as the second one, except it took place in Afghanistan, like when the Soviets invaded.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty much the same idea. Apparently a lot of people hated that movie. I didn't mind it that much. Then the fourth one, he's in Thailand helping some sort of like tourist destination thing where they're like charming snakes or whatnot, or like messing around with snakes. And these missionaries want him to take them into Burma, where apparently there's like a specific ethnic group that's being targeted by the military, like just killed for being there. And he's like, no. Then they come back and he's like, fine, I'll do it. He takes them there, drops them off. He kind of pisses off one of them on the way there because pirates try to take them and kill them. There's a woman with them, which, pirates see a woman.
Yeah, you know what pirates do.
Yeah, so he kills all of them just straight up. And the guy is like upset with them, and then it's like, I'm gonna report this. But they get to the village that they're going to help people out with. They're giving medical attention to them, stuff like that. And then the army attacks. Like pretty much half the missionaries are killed, the other half are captured. Then he finds out, then Rambo, who's back at his place in Thailand, he finds out from the pastor there that they haven't heard from him. So they hire a bunch of mercenaries to go rescue him. And then Rambo goes along with him. He takes him upriver to where he dropped him off. And they rescue the missionaries. Just long story short.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's a scene at the end involving a bunch of Burmese soldiers and Rambo with a .50 caliber machine gun. And you can kind of guess how that goes.
Yeah, I can imagine. So is this the first Rambo movie since the 80s or 90s? It's been a long
2008.
time. 2008 was the last one?
Yep. The fourth one came out in 2008. Yep. So with the looks of this, I guess we're actually going to talk about the trailer now instead of me rambling about
the franchise. I don't know. I thought it was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
It looks like Logan. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. So he's old, disgruntled. Not that he wasn't in the last one or whatnot.
What I thought was weird is he doesn't really look like Rambo. He just looked like Sylvester Stallone. Expected him to have longer hair or something.
Yeah, I was watching. I don't know if you've heard of him, the Cinema Snob. He did a reaction trailer to a reaction video to the trailer, and he was like, yeah, she cut off his hair. He doesn't really look like Rambo. He just looks like Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
So it's doesn't have the bandana yet.
Yeah, and it looks like a big part of this movie, or probably the finale, is going to be a squad of soldiers attacking his house, but he's got all the traps. It looks a lot like Skyfall.
Yeah. So actually, I was just about to mention that. So that was a big part of the first movie. It was
okay.
When the sheriff and his deputies are first chasing him through the mountains, there's a scene where he sets up a bunch of traps for him.
Mm-hmm.
None of them die, but he just does it to make the point, hey, I could have wiped them all out. So yeah, that's what it looks like they're trying to replicate with the new movie. Like
Yeah.
going back to First Blood with Rambo 5, Last Blood.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Do you think that they're going to kill off Rambo? Do you think this is his last movie?
probably. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want them to, just because that would be very stereotypical.
Yeah. I think it's like it's Lionsgate who's making this, and like Lionsgate, I don't have a lot of faith in their movies. I mean, it seems like all of their movies like range from being like bad to just okay.
Yeah.
I feel like the only reason why they're still like a company is because of the money they made off of the Hunger Games.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I have a feeling that if you enjoy the series, you're gonna enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what there would be to be mad about unless
Yeah,
you do something really, really stupid with it. But
yeah,
I don't know. We'll just have to see. It'll
it'll probably be fine. What I thought was
Yeah.
weird was that like I hadn't heard about this at all until like last week.
Yeah.
I think the movie comes out like in October or November or something. It comes out
late
this year.
Late this year. Yeah, it's like it kind of had a weird development cycle because I think they were gonna try to make it like shortly after the fourth one came out, because the fourth one was actually being touted as the final movie.
Yeah.
I think they pulled a Pirates of the Caribbean 5 with that.
At the time, it was probably the final movie. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
over 10 years.
Yeah, I mean it was close to 20 by the time that they made between the fourth one and the third one.
Oh, wow.
So like I guess no one would have expected that to begin with. So yeah, it was sort of an on and off sort of thing. As I think initially they said, "Oh yeah, we're going to do it." And then Sylvester Stallone's like, "Nah, the fourth movie was the last movie." And I guess since they came out with the Creed movies, which follow off of Rocky, like they had renewed hope that they could actually pull it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they did actually go through a couple of different like plot lines too. I think the original one was the one that they're using now. Like he's going after the drug cartel or a drug cartel from Mexico. The other one was that he was going to go after like a large like boar or something. Like,
Oh, what the heck?
Yeah.
That would have been interesting if they like didn't market it as a Rambo movie. It was about like some other guy. He's like, "Oh, who are we taking hunting? Oh, just one of my friends." And Rambo comes out.
I don't know. Yeah. It's going to be like Rambo 5 The Hunt, I think was what they were going to call that. I don't think they had any other plans for it, and then I guess they just said, screw it, let's go back to the original. Goes after Mexican drug lords or whatnot. Yeah. Okay.
So on the topic of rebooted franchises.
Or movies, sequels that no one really expects.
Yeah.
Terminator 6.
Dark Fate.
Is that really what the subtitle is to it?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yep. So, instead of this being a sequel to 2015 is when Genesis came out, right?
It was either 15 or 16, I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah. So instead of being a sequel to that, this is a sequel to Judgment Day.
Because they're like, hey, remember all the Terminator movies you thought were just okay? Those don't count anymore.
Yep.
It's just a sequel to Terminator 2.
Yep, they pulled the Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
And wiped Terminator 3,
Terminator
Salvation, and then Genesis off the timeline.
So what I think is funny about this is that this is supposed to be the first in a trilogy.
Oh, jeez.
So were Salvation and Genesis. So if this movie fails, they'll have literally a trilogy of failed trilogies.
Maybe this was their plan all along.
Maybe.
Just throw a bunch of crap at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, so this movie, it's directed by Tim Miller, who did Deadpool.
Yeah.
I think only the first one. So we'll see how... I mean, it'll probably be fine. What do you think about the new Terminator who can split into two? It's like, it's part like old school like metal Terminator, but like the inside of it is a liquid Terminator, so it can like separate and become two. They should have called the movie Terminators. That would have been right next to Predators and Aliens.
Yeah, it's like, I don't really have a problem with like how the Terminator's being handled, just maybe like who they're casting as him. 'Cause he looks like a budget version of Adrian Brody. Like, I don't know who the hell this guy is, but he's not intimidating at all. Like, granted, like, Robert Patrick, who did the T-1000 and Terminator 2, like, he's not the most intimidating guy, but...
Yeah.
Like, he was able to, like, do it through actions rather than just, like, his appearance.
All right, so here's a question. So, like, in the trailer, it seems like a lot of focus is put on this young blonde chick. Is she, like, a Terminator? Because it looks like it. But if she is, then why is the Terminator trying to hunt her? Is it going to be Terminator 2 where, like, there's a good one who's trying to save people? Or I don't know. So much happened in this trailer. I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah. It's like it's kind of the same thing as Salvation. It's like, oh, it's a Terminator that doesn't think it's a Terminator. It's like, I don't know. Like, of course, she's trying to save or, like, protect. I think it's a girl.
Yeah.
Or whatnot. I don't know where John Connor factors into any of this.
I have a theory about that, but we'll get to that later.
Okay, so, like, I think it's just this other Terminator's trying to stop me, so I'm going to fight it.
Yeah, something like that.
Like that's pretty much what happened with Judgment Day in the third one.
Mm-hmm. But then Sarah Connor comes out with a shotgun and an RPG.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, you like strong female characters? Here you go. Okay, so Arnold Schwarzenegger shows up. Who's that supposed to be? Is it the Terminator? Is he? I'm confused by that. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's just the one from Genesis, but Genesis doesn't count anymore, so I'm like, why is Arnold in this movie? Yeah.
So, like, other than being a Terminator, T-800 or whatever the hell he was, it could be the guy that the Terminator was based on, or that
I've heard that theory. There's like a deleted scene, I think, from Terminator 3.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, I recommend watching it just for what the F factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it might be that. But really, who knows? It's a movie with time travel. They've already shown that they have no regard for continuity. Mm-hmm. So it could be anything, really.
So back to John Connor.
Yeah.
What my theory is that John Connor is dead in this universe. And that the Terminators just sent another Terminator at some point that killed John Connor as a kid or something. And then that's why Sarah Connor is so crazy with RPGs and stuff, is just because they killed her boy or something like that. That's my theory.
Yeah, she was kind of crazy in the second one.
Yeah, so she already was kind of crazy, but...
PTSD from being hunted by a killer robot.
I know, it looks like at this point she's just spent her entire life just hunting different Terminators, and that she's like the ex-Terminator.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is the only trailer that they have released of it so far, so maybe more will be revealed in the next one. Hopefully not too much.
Yeah.
So it's not a Batman v Superman type ordeal.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It seems like people aren't too pleased with how it looks.
I think people are just confused, just because, I mean, the Terminator franchise is so weird at this point. Like, I mean, it probably should have ended at 2. I still like 3, but 2 like finished the story, and like since then it's just been a lot of just fluff, I should say. Yeah.
Like for me, like I like 3. Salvation I find to be okay. Genesis I liked, I just didn't really like their casting choices.
Yeah.
For like, Kyle Reese.
Was it Emilia Clarke in that as well?
Yeah, Emilia Clarke was Sarah Connor in that. Mm-hmm. What's his name was Kyle Reese, and it's like, he doesn't even look like Michael Biehn. It's like he's friggin' budget Sam Worthington.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I might see it in theaters, I might not. I really want to see the 5th Rambo in theaters when it comes out.
That'll probably be a good one to see in theaters.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't talk about this in my review of the new Godzilla movie, but like the audience I saw it with, they straight up sucked. There was some old dude who kept falling asleep and like snoring like really loud. I was like, are you serious? Like, who goes to a movie opening night and then starts falling asleep?
Was it that slow?
No, the movie wasn't slow at all. There was like monsters on the screen and he was like falling asleep. I was like, What?
I don't know. One thing that would make people really happy with the new Terminator, they've been saying this probably since Salvation, is to make it R-rated.
Yeah. And I'm thinking this one might be R-rated. Just because, I mean, you got Tim Miller involved and stuff.
Yeah. So I don't think well, it's probably too soon for it to be rated yet.
Yeah.
So they haven't announced it. Rambo 5 is definitely going to be rated R. Like, there's no escaping that, especially after the fourth one. Like, I mean, a big red flag is the day a PG-13 Rambo movie comes out.
Well, I mean, there's already a Rambo cartoon for kids.
Yeah, that was the 80s and no one cared.
That's true.
They made it work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's also a Bollywood remake of the first Rambo movie.
That would be interesting to watch. We might have to make a video about it before it comes out.
All right.
All right, well, I think that's everything we have to talk about.
Yep.
Sweet.
Alrighty.
Well, this has been a solid podcast. We'll probably do another one just because why not?
Yeah. These are pretty easy to make. Well,
yeah, and they're kind of fun. It's nice to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, I don't really like the word easy, but
yeah. All right, just let us know what you think. If you listen to it all the way through, comment chariots in the description.
Greg, you don't count.
Yeah, you don't count. All right. See you next time. Bye.